Hey, what's up guys, this is Liam on Your Overwatch, back with a new video. Today we're going to be talking about some misconceptions the community, you guys and me included, seem to have about Overwatch. There's a lot of different opinions that circle around and a lot of them are extremely popular and so many of them don't seem to be true. So I've picked out 5 of the top ones I could think of and I'm going to whack them into this countdown. So the first misconception is the Bastion issue, which has been one since release, about him being overpowered. This hasn't been the case since the game came out. Before it was out in the beta, he had his own shield, he was really strong and OP, you didn't really need a Reinhardt for him, and yes, he was a pain. But since the game was out, Bastion hasn't been an issue. That's the reason he hasn't been nerfed, and as time has gone on and people get more used to the heroes, Bastion has been used less. But I do still see a lot of comments in our videos and people in game complaining that he's no skill and OP. If he is stuck behind a Reinhardt shield, say someone that's really good as Reinhardt and Bastion is against you, it can be a problem. But the same as any hero can be a problem if being used by someone with a higher skill set. All you've got to do really with Bastion is throw on Genji and get behind him. You don't even necessarily have to be the one that deals the damage. As long as you distract the Bastion and the Reinhardt to turn around, they're really easy to finish off. As I say, definitely not OP, can be countered, and is just the same as any other hero in the game when used by a decent player. At the number 4 spot though, I'm going to put in play the OBJ, because a lot of people don't really understand what that means in Overwatch. If you're playing with one random person, or if you're playing with 5 and you're solo queuing, you're still going to have people that don't know what they're doing. You can have people that say play the OBJ all the time, so you can see them, they spawn in, they run to the OBJ and they die, and they spawn in and they run to the OBJ and they die. And a lot of people seem to think that playing the OBJ is exactly what you have to do, but no, in a lot of the game modes, you really need to group up with your teammates and take out the enemies before trying to play the OBJ. So as I mentioned before, if you had a Reinhardt and a decent Bastion behind it, running 1 or 2 people at that is just going to get you killed. It's going to give them ultimate and you're not going to get anywhere. But if you group up, get a death ball, go in with 5 people, have a flanker behind them, it's much easier to kill them and then you can play the OBJ. It's not like Call of Duty where jumping on the domination point is the first thing you want to do every time. You do need to take out people before playing the objective in this game most of the time. At the number 3 spot though, there's a couple of Genji misconceptions that I don't really understand where they stem from, but some people seem to think Genji is a DPS character. Now I have done a video on this channel saying how you can get the most DPS potential out of him, and also why do people insta-pick him. Genji isn't someone you should main. Genji isn't a main character. A lot of people say, well, I main Genji and I get loads of kills. Unfortunately, that's just not how it works. On attack, most of the time you can get away with choosing Genji, trying to feel out what the enemy team are doing. But if they've got the wrong setup, maybe they've got a couple of Winstons, you will have to change from Genji. He's not someone that should ever be in any default lineup all the time. You can do it on attack and casuals, and in defend, people will still say, well, I get lots of points on defend, but really, that's not what he's used for. A lot of people are attacking, you should be with your teammates defending the point. He's more of a flanking character than anything, and there are no set rules in Overwatch. So I'm not telling you you can't always do this, but maining Genji isn't something you should be doing or even claim to do, because it's just not something that's viable within the current meta. At the number 2 spot though, we've got Genji again, and this is my biggest pet peeve about opinions of people within Overwatch, because so many people say that Torbjorn is a counter to Genji. And I know people will defend it in this comments, and I've watched various guides of different people around the internet, both text-based and video-based, and Torbjorn is always listed under Genji's counter. Now, if you're up in the face of a turret of Torbjorn, you can still kill it. You can still left click and deflect it, which I've shown in recent videos, and you will kill the turret very quickly. Now Torbjorn himself is very powerful when he hits his projectile shot, which isn't easy to do. So if he catches Genji in the head, yeah, he's going to kill him, but no quicker or easier than any other hero in the game's projectile or hit scan. He isn't a direct counter to Genji at all, and his turret definitely isn't. Yes, the turret can cause issues on off angles, and slow Genji down. But Genji's got deflect. This is used to gain free ground. That's the whole point in Genji, is to get around the map. And the turret is there to try to slow that down. But the turret simply isn't strong enough, it doesn't do enough damage quickly enough, and Genji can always get around a Torbjorn. And the final thing I'll mention, and this is more of a tip than anything, is if you are a very long distance from the turret, it can barely even see you. You can just keep throwing shurikens at it and kill it in 2 or 3 volleys, it's dead and it hasn't touched you. It really is that simple, guys. So going into the number 1 spot, and I know there's a lot of Hanzo faithfuls out there, but very similar to earlier on, I main Hanzo, still one of the biggest issues within the game. We've done multiple videos on Hanzo trying to talk about him in a very sensible way and just explain why he isn't a viable pick and why you cannot main Hanzo, because he isn't a character that you can always be using. So I'm going to give you the situations where he can be used first before I go into why he isn't viable. He is viable against a very static setup. Say they've got a couple of Torbjorns or a Bastion or a few tanks. Hanzo can deal huge damage to these people very quickly. His ultimate is very good for this as well because it stays in a line, but it's hard for the other people to get out of it. If you're a Hanzo playing against a Genji and a Tracer and a Winston and they're all jumping around everywhere, you've not really got much of a chance. Now, I know you can have a god game with Hanzo. Everyone has done it, where you don't miss shots and you kill everyone. But most of the time, if I'm playing in a game and we're struggling and someone's a Hanzo, that's where the issue lies. He's very similar to Genji in the way that he isn't really someone that you can main. And I know you Hanzo faithfuls will hate me for saying it and you'll comment saying, you're an idiot, you don't know what you're talking about. But within the meta of the game, he just isn't viable as an instant pick. Against that static setup, yes. Against anything else, he is a waste of time. You're hurting your own stats and wins and losses, and you're really ruining your teammates' experience because you're not in that death ball and you're sitting back trying to snipe with it, which Widow is probably still better at even after that huge nerf. So guys, I know some Jimmins will be Russell, but let me know in the comment section down below if I missed anything, and be sure to drop a like and subscribe if you guys enjoyed. Have a great day as always. Take care and peace, people.